Haka people, it's a weird day. It's a weird day mainly because it's the daytime. The natural lamp is on out in the sky, and we're in the room doing our things. And there's a reason for that, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure. Among other things, it is a shortened week, so it may be a little bit weird. So anyway, almost agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website, almost agreement, check what's going on there. Here in about 2 weeks, we've got the Rocky Hill Christmas Parade. I just ordered our banners to go on our float. And so come out if you're in the Rocky Hill area and see us at the parade. It'll be a good time. I'll have the Compass and the Highlights team with me as well, and we'll be doing some fun little pre-parade interviews and some other stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyway, almost agreement, everybody. We're going to do a show, and it's going to be sober and probably a little boring per usual. But I don't know. I'll figure something to freak out about. Almost agreement. Here we go. Oh, yeah, I guess we're on those podcast providers and whatnot. You should go and like and friend, share, follow, subscribe. Text an episode to your friends. Do what you can do to support the show. That's the other thing that I'm supposed to do on my intro that I've just kind of screwed the pooch on. Anyway, all right. Showtime. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
What's new with you?
Oh, not much.
I guess what's new with us. You got something new. We did something exciting together after the last taping, and that's new and exciting. It's like I guess it's not super new now, but it's new since the last time we recorded.
Yeah, went to the championship game for the.
Let's
do it backwards. FC1.
One Knox.
One Knox. SC. Sport. Yeah. I mentioned that attic. There was a woman in front of us that had a shirt that said sporting club. Oh. And I was like, I thought it still would have been like soccer club, like football club is FC.
Right. Because that's all the those across the pond people do it. So yeah, that was fun. It was interesting. I got to dork out in my civic coolness, and I just went and sat down and talked to Lauren Ryder for a little bit at the game. She showed up late. Some stupid thing that her kids were doing that she had to go to first. Lame. But got to talk to Lauren a little bit. Saw Tommy Smith. Apparently a couple other people were there. I gave Lauren a little shit. I was like, I figured I might as well come to something since I helped pay for it. To which she gave a terrible analogy of, it's only like $100,000 a year when we spread out how much we're spending on it, blah, blah, blah. It's not that big a deal. And to be fair to the city of Knoxville budget, $100,000 a year ain't a lot of money. But I think my reply was something along the, yeah, and I bought that Bugatti and I'm paying $1,000 a month for the rest of my life on it. Doesn't mean I can afford it. So anyway, there's that kind of stuff. I can't help myself. I like stirring the shit when I can. But yeah, so One Knox went on to win that shit. They scored the first goal in like the 3.5 minute mark.
Something like that, yeah.
It was very early. And then a second goal on a penalty kick late in the first half, and then no goals in the second half, and a 2-0 victory. The multiple great things about that is the first time in the history of USL League One or whatever it is that the regular season and the tournament champion were the same team.
No, I think they said it was like the fifth time.
Was it the fifth time? It's a rarity.
It's the first time we've done it.
Right.
Well, I think it's only like our third season in it.
Right. It's a rarity apparently in the league, and that's cool and exciting.
Yeah.
This is, I think is it our third year in the league? I thought it was only our second. Anyway, I don't know.
Could
whatever.
be second. We haven't been in it long.
And One Knox SC holds a 0-loss home record this season. So anytime they played in Knoxville, they did not lose. They got some points in the tournament, or some points in the point system that soccer uses.
Yeah.
Every game they played at home, which is pretty fucking impressive.
They're won or drew.
Yeah. Either won or drew, and then, obviously it's playoffs, so there is no draw. Not that it mattered, because they won 2-0 in regular time. So that was fun. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a good game.
It's a nice stadium.
To fix the pitch too much.
It was a nice stadium, I guess.
Shut up, so it's brand fucking new.
I mean, I don't know. Like, the seats were comfortable, and like there was a little more leg room than other stadiums I've been into. A lot of stadiums, like, you're crunching on the person in front of you and stuff like that, and that was nice.
Wouldn't mind having those picnic
I know
seats.
Those.
I like the mesh bags.
Those little four tops tables things were kind of neat. We didn't use any concessions of the day, but In-N-Out wasn't too bad.
No.
It's a Sunday evening, so there presumably wasn't a ton of other stuff going on. But, take the to take the opportunity to go watch the winning soccer team screw the baseball team. I don't know.
They're going to do a parade.
I don't know. That's a good question. They should. I wouldn't see why not. They would have done it by now, though. Usually it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like we won when UT baseball won the World Series. It was like the next weekend. Actually, it was like midweek the next week. Like they won they won the World Series or whatever on like a Saturday, and I think the parade was like on the Wednesday. So it should have happened by now if it was going to happen. Maybe special events just doesn't have the parts and pieces they need to put it on, because it would have. That's a pretty major thing. And plus, there's like 17 parades coming up over the next couple weeks, including the one that we're going to be in. And we and the Compass and the Headlights team, it's in a pirate ship. It's going to be fun. I love being in parades. I'm not super excited because the pirate ship is also doing the WIVK one on the Friday night before that, and I'm going to be driving. I don't like driving with trailers generally anyway. It's right. I can do it. It's not the worst. It's not the end of the world. But
you get a bunch of people and stuff all around you.
Lighting is like the visibility is super weird because it's nighttime, but all the street lights are on, and then there's freaking Christmas lights everywhere, and people are running around. And like depending on what's in front of us, there might be the float group that's in front of us might have a bunch of kids running around, and so I'm scared to death I'll run somebody over. That was always my thing when I was doing the Scouts one. I was always afraid one of our kids was going to get hit, or because like the Rocky Hill Parade, it starts at the ball fields and it comes up and then it turns on to North Shore, and North Shore does not have a lot of shoulder. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to that, especially on the south side of North Shore over there where the Scrambled Jakes is or whatever. Like most of that, it's like white line, 4 inches, and then a ditch. And so, like for people spectating the parade, they're in the ditch or on the back of the ditch with their chairs and stuff like that. But the kids always end up on the street. But they're in the street. They're not like on the shoulder. They're in the fucking street. Right. And so, especially when the different groups go by and they're giving out candy and stuff, and the candy doesn't quite make it close enough, these kids are running out grabbing candy all the time. I was so scared. That was always the thing that scared the shit out of me at parades. Was some kid's going to run out, grab that Laffy Taffy that didn't make it, that wasn't thrown well, and get hit. But so far so
piece
good.
Of candy.
I mean, it's just like it's exactly. These kids are crazy for candy. But yeah, so we'll be there, and you should come to either of those parades. Nothing beats a good parade. Parades are fun. I don't know what's going on this week. The weather's crazy. We can start with that story.
Is it crazy?
I mean, it was 70s. I think the topped out at like 77 yesterday.
Well, I thought I felt kind of warm. I was like, I didn't really check the temperature.
Yeah, it was 70s. Like it was mid to upper 70s in Knoxville at least, and I don't know if that was a record, but it was certainly well above I think the average is 59 right now.
Did we hit a record low last week?
I don't think it was a record low, but it was certainly pretty cold. So I guess the average is true. The average is correct over the last 2 weeks that we've been in the mid 50s, but it's been hot the last couple of days. I'm concerned on what that's going to do to the deer out there. I'm hoping like they're like, oh, it's time to go fuck. This is the time to go fuck. Let's go fuck. And then they get their stupid horny brains on, and they're easier to...
Yeah, hopefully trees have dropped their nuts and get some good feed out there.
They're out eating, yeah. So we'll see.
And there's always a couple people out there that were illegally... what do you call it?
Oh, yeah. I find a bag out there. There's a bag of feed corn, like a feed corn bag here. And I mean, it's not... I don't know how that works on public land. Like, is it illegal period on public land? I know that the TWRA rules are you can't have an active feed plot within 30 days of hunting it. I think is what it was. And so you could
something like that.
So because like Max over the summer, him and the family went and hung out at camp for a little bit, and he went 4-wheeling around the different trails and stuff that are out there. But he went out there and put some feed bags and stuff out. But I think that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's okay as long as it's not when
close enough to it.
Right. You gotta stop actively feeding within a certain.
Yeah, window. I think you're right.
And so who knows? But I mean, yeah, that it always bothers me how much trash and stuff's around when we go to camp.
Yeah.
But it's it's not saying it's okay that it gets done, but in the grand scheme of things, the the major use for this public land is these people going out there and four-wheeling and off-roading and doing stuff like that. And then it's lake. Like that lake is apparently super cool in the summer. And so the marina down there gets a ton of business, and it's a ton of people out on their boats, which, littering or not, you drop stuff off the boat, eventually it gets washed up around there. And that, especially right there on the creek that we cross all the time, when that creek floods out, it pushes all that stuff way up. Right. Or when they drop the dam and let the water level go up, it pushes all that stuff up on the creek beds and stuff like that. So anyway, whatever. Going to camp this weekend. I'm excited. I love camp. Go out there in the woods. I think AC's going to be there. I was told he might show up. We'll see. I haven't seen him since last camp.
It's coin flip.
The story as I heard it is he's supposed to be there tonight. I won't be there. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So which is why we're taping on a weird day. Told you we'd cover that part. So in more local story stuff, the Bivens thing is still complaining about the reason he's leaving is that he's not getting the financial support. That part we kind of already touched on.
I think his last statement, he said he fixed like 19 of the 91, listed like 91 things.
Pretty good work in a month or two that he's been, a couple of months
bad.
that he's been working on it. I think to me, that's just whatever. I mean, to me, the story of the week so far that's got me all hot and bothered is Rhonda Lee has announced that she's going to run for General Sessions Court judge. So she's going to apparently whomever retired. So she's seeking the appointment, and then she's going to run for said seat, which means she will be vacating her commission seat, which will play into some interesting politics as that.
Can they get appointed by the mayor?
I don't know. I think they get appointed by the commission.
Okay.
I think the commission nominates, and then they vote on a replacement. So that'll be interesting.
As a temporary.
Yeah. And I don't recall, I don't remember if that's on next year's, if that seat is on next year's ballot. But that's an interesting one. Former GOP chair primaried her for that commission seat last time, and there's been no real workings on whether or not he is planning on getting back into that mess. Buddy Burkhart. Let's see here. Commission passed a Christmas bonus for most employees of the county. But the one to me that popped out, and I haven't gotten to do a lot of looking into it yet, but the U.S. Department of Energy Chief of Staff Carl Coe announced a new federal AI initiative to boost science and defense efforts. This is via Compass. Trump is supposed to sign an executive order on Monday next week authorizing the effort. Coe spilled the beans at the 12th Annual Tennessee Advanced Energy Business Council's Opportunities in Energy event at the Crown Plaza this week. So, I don't know. It goes back to what we chatted about last week. The military budget part of the conversation is a very long and drawn out and crazy one. But then the second one is like, I don't understand the future. I'm not cool or keen enough to understand how this is going to work out long term. Like
what specifically?
Like just AI and how it's going to work. Like not like, historically at least, it's always been this new technology is taking off the lower end of the spectrum jobs, right? It's always like we're replacing people in the factory building cars with robots building the cars. It's never been the white collar workforce that's been affected by the new technology. It's always been the blue collar workforce. And so the argument was always, well, go back to school, get an education. The one that a couple of years back, the learn to code, that was like a pejorative that was going around in the social spheres. You remember any of that?
Yeah, a little bit.
And like where I was like, that was like a fucked up mean thing to say to somebody. And then a lot of that was talking about like again, it was early excitement over the self-driving trucks conversation. It's like all these truck drivers are opposed to having these self-driving trucks on the road, and they're arguing for safety and stuff like that. When they get down to the brass tacks of it, it's like, well, they're also arguing to keep their jobs. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, I get, like the technology's coming. We have to deal with the reality of what it is. And it's like, at the end of the day, a self-driving truck, if the software and technology is effective, is going to be cheaper. Well, maybe not even cheaper. May not be the right word. More efficient. Full stop. Because a computer doesn't need to take a TDOT required break every 4 hours on the road, and a TDOT required, or US DOT, I guess probably required, like 7-hour break for every 12 hours on the road, or whatever the different rules are for these truck drivers. Because the rules that these truck drivers had are reasonable rules, because, I'm about to drive 3.5, 4 hours tomorrow, and that last 30, 45 minutes, especially on the way back when it's, midnight, I'm getting pretty sleepy, and sleepy driving is not safe driving. And, it's like, it seems reasonable to be like, hey, maybe we need to not, because it's really, the driver rules is really more about protecting the driver from his employer. When the employer says, well, we need you to go from here to fucking LA, and it needs to be there tomorrow. It's like, well, you can functionally do that. Like, I think Knoxville to LA,
do a bunch of them yellow jackets or
right.
stackers or whatever.
But I think like if without any major traffic issues from here to LA is like a 26-hour, 28-hour drive or something like that. Like, if you could drive it nonstop, it's only, it's only a day or so. It's not it's not a multiple day trip if you could drive.
Let's do it on the cannonball runs.
Right. Exactly. And so, like, but there's like just logical layer after layer of that is not safe.
Right.
You have one guy with no stop. Like, you like, as a kid, I could pull off like I could pull off like 2 days without sleeping and not completely have lost my mind when I was like 18.
Right.
Like, what's the average drive? I would guess the average truck driver age is probably 40, upper 30s, maybe even upper 40s.
Nowadays, possibly.
And so it's like, that's a big ask for a human being, period, I guess is what I'm trying to say, to drive for 24 hours straight. Yeah. And it's not safe. And so, again, this self-driving technology comes up, the AI is now the driver, blah, 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 blah. You don't have, that's not a concern anymore. You can have, I can ship my thing and I can say, get this to this address in LA, and it should be there tomorrow by mid-afternoon. Like, it's not a crazy ask anymore, because the computer can do it, because the technology, when the technology can do it. But like,
I wonder how they get fueled up though.
I mean, I think it would be very quickly.
The computer just starts honking its horn, so a service attendant has
the
to come
service center does the thing, and I mean, like how far off and how expensive it would be to have a automated fueling system, especially if it's.
It's gonna be a little more complicated with those trucks. It's like tanks are on different. You got two on different sides.
But the other part of it is like the self-driving truck thing was coming along with the electric trucks too.
Oh, okay.
Which, again, same thing. Whatever, you've got to plug in somewhere, all that kind of. But I think step one would be you would hire some truck driver who's now unemployed to go work at the station, and when the trucks pull up, you plug them in, and you log whatever, and you bill, and it bills to whoever. But the AI can do all that now too, and whatever. The point is that back then, at least, it was the learn to code was the, hey, there are other jobs out there that you can prepare yourself to be able to keep working. I don't know that that's true anymore, because like one of the first things that these large language models are going to do once we get to a true general, what is it, AGI, artificial general intelligence, is what the phrase they use. Once we get to that true point, like they're already doing it, like, software companies are using AI to write the code for their software. And it's just them prompting it and then testing it. And so when it used to be a couple of engineers who knew how to code or were in there coding stuff, and then they test it and fix it and test it and fix it and stuff. Now it's just the one guy going, hey, make this. And then the AI will make that. And then they test it and they adjust it and they test it and they adjust it. And so we're already taking out employees in that framework of the system and stuff like that. It's just like it doesn't seem crazy to me. And I think the movie that we all need to go rewatch is WALL-E. WALL-E seems to be the more likely long term of this. Maybe not the trash part of WALL-E, but what the humans were in WALL-E.
Right.
Running
around their hover rounds, drinking soda.
Everybody's fat and everybody is attached to their screen. And There is no human, there is no interaction between people. It's all between screens. And the AI, the AI is maleficent. Is that the word?
Yeah. Malevolent.
Malevolent. Thank you. Not in taking the because that's always the hook in all these movies is that they are taking the program instructions to their logical end. So, AI. The movie. That's the one with the kid, right?
I think so.
I always get there's the Will Smith one, and then there's the one with the kid, and it also had Jude Law as a sex robot. Terminator 2, The Matrix, like all the movies that we've seen, it's always that the computer goes to what the logical end is, and it goes beyond what the humans wanted it to be. It's always the laws of robotics, which it was from a sci-fi story back in like the 20s. Yeah. It was something made up by some author or whatever, but that's something like it's like can never harm a human. Blah 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 blah. Like these are the where you break down to the logical end is you turn them into little you put them in a cocoon where they can't hurt themselves, and you take away all their freedoms and stuff like that because freedom causes friction and friction causes death and. And so like that's the logical end, and so that's like again like it doesn't seem these fantasy these fantasy sci-fi stories of what the computers are going to do when they have the sentience to take over doesn't seem illogical.
Right.
It seems like the logical end. If my number one core initiative that you gave me is to make sure you're alive, what's the easiest way for me to make sure you stay alive? To not let you get into any dangerous situation.
Right.
To not put you in a place where you could be where danger could happen. And if you really, 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 really simplify that down, it's in a little bubble in your basement where I feed you, gruel that has all the proper nutrients in it, but it doesn't taste like anything because that takes more energy and effort. But even before you get to that completely, the complete dystopian end of AI, it's the middle ground that I'm confused at, and this is what I was talking about last week. How does it make logical business sense to, en masse, remove the ability for people to buy stuff? Because that's what will happen eventually. Like if the point's to make more money, is to be more efficient, is to spend less to make more as the business, which is a good generic... that's capital.
That's what you always argue.
That is. It's good generic capitalism. That's what I was saying last week. I understand it from, if I'm Amazon, for example, because they've already started it. Apparently they have a warehouse in Louisiana that has 3 employees.
Damn. And
it's like 1 million square feet. It's a 1 million square foot warehouse with shelving everywhere. So it's like, I think, I can't remember what they said it was. It's like 20 million square feet of shelf space in this place. Because they have it's 40 feet tall and they have racks that go all the way to the ceiling and all that kind of crap. That's completely automated. Okay, well, it used to take hundreds of employees to do that. Those hundreds of employees got paid. Those hundreds of employees went home and bought food and then ordered stuff off Amazon to get shipped to their house. Like the other logical end here of the computers taking over everything is nobody has any money. And again, on the full capitalist on it, like 100% anarcho-capitalist, like no laws can stop me from doing my capitalism kind of thing. If that's the mindset you have to see that. You have to, how could you not logically see that, okay, if we automate out all of our employees and go to some of the AI companies who are automating out their own employees so we can develop this software that other companies can use to automate out their employees. Okay, well, we're still good because we're selling the software to companies to automate their employees. Or to automate out their employees. So at least the original has some market to keep selling to until, they're going to run out of businesses to sell to because all the businesses already have it. And no new businesses are coming online because nobody has money to start a new business. Because all of the workers are gone.
Yeah.
It seems like a logical end to me. And now it's a moral dilemma, in the purest capitalist sense of I care about nothing but making $1 more tomorrow than I did today. In the purest capitalist sense, it's still a moral dilemma. It's one of the great great Henry Ford quotes, even though he was racist, was his thing was, I'm always going to pay my employees enough to buy the things that they're making. Because he understood the idea that if I don't pay them enough to buy them, I'm losing the ability to sell some of these things.
Right.
And then my invention that is not the car, but the assembly line, its whole purpose is to make more. I'm going to be making more than I can sell if my employees aren't included in the people that I can sell to. And so it is a capitalist thought process that somewhere in this, we have to have a realization. It's like, well, if we automate out everything, because the other side of it too is then it goes like this UBI conversation. It's like, okay, well, we put a UBI in. Who's paying the taxes to the government to give to the people for their UBI? The pure capitalists are going to be like, no, you're not taxing me to give. So you're going to take money from me to give to people to then spend on me? That doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just keep the money in the first place?
Yeah.
Like just an illogical thing. It's like, so how does that work long term? Like none of this makes any sense to me. And again, I get it. This is not one of those like conspiracy theories that there's some handful of people in a smoky room making these crazy decisions that are going to change the world. This is the system moving forward naturally. I don't know, because and again, if you get into more government involvement, I don't know if I trust that either. Like I do, like apparently one of these things, like this thing that Trump's talking about with Oak Ridge and whatever with this federal AI initiative, another one that's apparently was tried to get snuck through like early in his second term that is now kind of getting snuck through, attached to some other bill that they're wanting to pass, is basically banning states from having the ability to do any regulation over AI in their own state. And we can go into the politics of why Trump's on board with AI or whatever. That's a separate subject thing. But it's like, you've talked about it a bunch where people that have been in the industry and have been helped creating these things are like, we need to slow down a little bit, guys. Like,
right.
We're getting a little ahead of the skis here.
That's what worries me. It's like,
right.
You were an advocate for this, and now you're like, guys, we might want to be careful about what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, you're the ones doing it. What are you talking about?
You're right. But at the same time, they're like, and then in the geopolitical version of it, there is the conversation that, I'm not supporting Trump in the decision on this, but there is reality to the conversation that if we don't develop the best AI in the world, somebody else will, and we will be subject to the aftermath of the Chinese version, China having the real best good AI, or Brazil or some other country that we're not super friendly with. Because this, I agree with the premise that whomever has the firmest grip on the future with AI will be the next world superpower, if it's not one of the current world superpowers. Like it could be one of those like fundamental shifts in geopolitical affairs. I do think it's that big of a deal, and so then it becomes like a nuclear proliferation race issue. We have to have the biggest, best version of it. Because if we don't, they will. And if they do, they're going to use it for nefarious terms. And we can argue about whether we believe the Germans are going to use it for nefarious terms, or the Chinese or whomever are going to be evil with it because they're our enemies or whatever kind of bullshit, like old political stuff that's attached to it. But at the same time, it's like, well, there is some truth to the idea. It's like, well, we have had a poor relationship with China for a long time. And if they control the biggest and best and we don't have anything that can even touch it, then they will be the unipolar world power, and we will be subject to their whims. That's functionally a likely outcome. And so we're stuck. Like, I don't know. Help me out. Put the positive spin on this for me.
I mean, I've seen a number of stories that, there are wouldn't dare to put a percentage on it, but there are, some jobs and careers that, AI can't actually do.
Right, but the reality is, and like I'm excited about it. My eldest, he likes the idea of being a welder, which is one of those jobs, at least on the front end. Like a factory welder is probably not great, but like going out and building skyscrapers and welding steel together on a skyscraper, there is no robot for that yet.
Well, there's robots that do welding, but it's more like an assembly line.
That's what I'm saying. Like not a factory welder, but like either doing custom weld work for
some do that underwater shit.
He was talking about that. He was He's like, yeah, you can work for like 3 months and make more than a normal annual salary of a regular guy. It's like, yeah, or you could die.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that shit.
Yeah. I was like, and we got talking about getting on oil rigs and stuff like that.
Can't catch on fire.
Yeah, that's true. But well, it depends because I mean, you can because some of it's them down there welding pipeline, like gas pipelines. It's like you do a bad weld, or somebody didn't turn the gas off, or they didn't flush the system properly, and you've still got natural gas running through that pipeline you're welding. You can start a fire even underwater in that scenario. Explosions.
I'm trying to remember if it was welding or some other kind of like deep sea like repairs or maintenance, to where they have like a huge pod that's like down on like the ocean floor that you have to like acclimatize yourself to it.
Yeah, there's a name for that. I can't remember what it's called. That's been a construction function. Like that's how they built the Brooklyn Bridge.
Really?
They sunk those pods and they dried out the Hudson River, the bed of the Hudson River underneath that little pod thing, and dug and poured concrete and got to bedrock and whatever. That's.
I remember a podcast they talked about, and I think it was somewhere in New York. I don't know if it was bridge building or subway tunnels, but they were called sand hogs. To where I think there's a bunch of like bedrock, but I guess there's a bunch of sand where they literally go down and it's either like high pressured air. I think it's like high pressured water, but they go kind of like under the river and they're basically just kind of like blowing out like a tunnel.
Sounds not like something I want to do.
Yeah, but it's like pressurized down there, and apparently there's a story of like one guy that got sucked out. That there was like a hole that formed like at the top of the tunnel, and he kind of got like sucked straight out of it.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah,
and like
I was like sandhog. That's cool.
Terrible way to die. But I mean, but it's
still
even in that
shot
like,
out the river.
Like your underwater welder. Like I would imagine that there's already companies that have been working on and trying to develop at least a remote control version of that.
Yeah, just
to not put a human being in that dangerous situation. And you know. If you have an RC car and we have the technology to have a self-driving RC car, what's the difference? You know, like the AI could figure, like at some point the AI could figure all those parts and pieces out. They could design and build a better version of the robot that you built.
Man, don't tell me a robot's going to take over NASCAR.
And then, like seriously though, like they could, the AI could design and build a better version of the submersible robot. And then program said submersible robot to do at least an equivalent version of the job that's needed. And so that, like, because that's the thing is like I think eventually as the Boston Dynamics dog robots and stuff keep getting better and better and better, and we start integrating them with AI and they get better and better and better. Eventually, I think all of it's gone.
There was some country that had I want to say it might have been Russia, but they had a recent like robot unveiling that apparently it like fell over.
Oh yeah, it was Russia. It looked like it was drunk, like super drunk.
I didn't see a video. I just read the story about it.
It is pretty good. And then they tried to hide it, like they tried to put a curtain up to cover it as they were trying to take it away, and the curtain was all twisted up, so it didn't do a good job of.
I did see a video of one, and I want to say it's the first time it's done it, but a robot like. What do they call it? Like a wall jump, basically, where like ran up against the wall, kind of kicked off, and did like a backflip.
Great!
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, well, that's like they were joking, like it was one of those happy fun stories at the end of the NBC News one night where they were talking about the robot Olympics that China was doing, how cool these robots are. I'm watching that whole thing, going, nope, this is not cool. It's a terrible version of soccer that they're showing us. Number one, it's not exciting. It's not looking fun, but at the same time, it's like. Am I the only one that sees this? Like I cannot be the only one that's looking at this going, like, there's a relevance issue here. Like, we are going to become irrelevant in this whole existence thing. We don't need to exist anymore, which I guess could free us up to be more just spending time being creative and fun and doing whatever we actually enjoy. But for those of us like me who kind of take value, personal pride in my work, no matter what my work is, I don't know where that got into me, but like, I like to work.
Yeah.
I prefer to have days where I go out and do stuff, even though I have no assignment. It's not like go do this today, but I go out and I have a productive day that I know I did something of value to me and my company and my employees and all that kind of stuff. I like
exactly
like I like doing payroll. It's annoying.
Ooh.
It's a huge expense, but I like doing payroll because I like going through there. I mean, like, look, these people are working and they're paying their bills and they're doing all these things and this part of the job for me is important, and I feel like I've accomplished something today. And And I absolutely don't have to do it anymore. There is absolutely software that could do all this
I
stuff
see commercials for it.
Yeah.
It's like, own a small business.
Right.
Get this
Tired
program.
of the headache of payroll? Get the Intuit TurboTax. And so I don't know. Like I'm saying, like it's again, like I didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole again, but like I don't understand what anybody is expecting to happen here. But I can't figure out a lot. Like I cannot figure out a logical end, nor can I figure out even if I had faith that the government could do a good job of regulating this industry, which I don't. But even if I had faith that they could do a decent job getting some regulations in place and trying to protect humanity from its own creations, I don't know what steps could be taken. Like, what could we do?
I think we've already kind of gone past the tipping point of, I think even if we stopped all, I guess, like progress now, there's still, what's out there is still super powerful.
Sure.
I mean, Palantir's been around for a while. I don't know
right,
if
but
you've seen
stopping progress
on it.
I don't know that stopping progress would be a lot. Like, I don't even know if that'd be a logical solution, because part of the problem with what exists now is it does weird stuff. Like they call it delusions, I think is the technical term in the industry. But that's what, like I was telling you, we were talking about, like Sagar was talking about it, and I mentioned it last week. Like he was just, I can't remember what he said he was doing something, and he just asked who won the Super Bowl in year whatever.
Right. And it just made it up.
And it just made up an answer. And he's like, I don't think that's right. And then it double checked it, and it went back and actually did what it was supposed to do and find the correct answer and said, you're right, this is the correct answer. It's like, like if we stopped it now, then that would be inherent in all systems. And it's like, well, I guess that's cool. There is a bonus to knowing that we can't trust it. Like if it's a known that we know we have to, we can't just ask it the simple question and take the simple answer. We need to follow up and make sure it's doing its own due diligence kind of stuff. I guess that's cool. But at the same time, there's at least one lawsuit that some family suing ChatGPT for assisting their kid in killing himself.
I think there's a couple, yeah.
And it's like, so if we leave it as is, we have to continue dealing with the problems as is. I don't know that we can rewind it. And so there's some part of it that we need to allow to continue progress, because we need to find the advancements to fix some of the issues we know are happening. But even in that, okay, the one that I keep going to in my head is like, well, then like we'd have to figure out a way to tax a company. We'd have to really, that's the only one that can make sense to me. Like if you have a job, if you have a job in your company that you are canceling to replace with AI, you have to pay an AI tax equivalent to 85% of the salary of the employee you would have had, which is an impossible thing to do. Don't get me wrong. But like something of that nature, because then the tax revenue could get into a system where, okay, well, you do that in mass or whatever, but theoretically it'd be like you would have gone and been an associate, new attorney for a law firm as an associate doing all the credit research stuff, that they replaced you with AI. That was $100,000 a year job. We're bringing in $90,000 in tax revenue. We're going to kick you out a basic. We're going to start kicking out everybody a basic income at like $60,000. So it leaves a little room for all the different parts and pieces that cost money to get done and all that kind of stuff. But it's still $60,000 a year. You could theoretically live off that, sort of, maybe. But at least it's something. But again, like there's no functional way you could pull that off. Like, okay, fine. If a company has 100 employees and they fire 80 of them and they were all replaced with AI, that's a pretty direct line. You could do the math. The IRS could figure that out. But you're a new company. You're a growing company. A company that did something similar to you 15 years ago would have hired 15 people as you grew, where you don't, because you're growing using the AI.
Right. Now,
how could you mathematically say, well, you got to pay this much in taxes because you should be hiring people, but you're not? It's like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what could fix it. And it's so, I don't know. This AI shit's scurry. It's the moral of the story. I don't know if I've said that yet.
Once or twice.
Yeah, so going back to local stuff, I mean, Betsy is continuing to the point where she kind of even directly called out prior leadership. So let me see this one. Let me see if I can find that one. Here it goes. On November 18th at 10:44 a.m., Knox County's budget is roughly $1.1 billion a year, which is more than enough to manage our responsibilities without raising taxes. Yes, we have debt to manage, but we can do that with current revenue, smarter spending, and natural growth. That was the Mayor Jacobs plan. And let's be clear, this is not a balloon payment like some have claimed. It is a scheduled repayment of principal over several years and returning to normal by 2035. The bonds were issued in 03, 04, 05, 07, 08, meaning that the leaders now calling this a crisis have known about it for years. That is an explicit call out to prior mayors and prior commissioners. When I am mayor, you will not pay for their mistakes. Knox County maintains a strong AA plus from the Standard & Poor, AA1 from Moody's. Oh, sorry. AA plus from Standard & Poor's and AA1 from Moody's credit rating systems. That's because we have the capacity to meet our obligations. Yes, but...
Because we're required to.
Right. We have the capacity to raise taxes to meet our obligations. It's part of that capacity. It's not exclusively that, but part of... Well, that's the bottom line, number 1A.
Yeah.
They have the authority...
They stand alone. They know that by law
we have the capacity to raise all the taxes we want.
Right. So we are not allowed. It is illegal to default on it.
But according to Betsy, with a budget of more than $1 billion, we can pay our debt and still deliver great roads, schools, public safety, and the service taxpayers deserve, all without raising your taxes. I really don't. I want to believe you, Betsy, because I don't want to pay taxes.
Well, I think I read that DeSantis is trying to eliminate property tax.
In Florida?
Yeah.
How are they going to make any money?
That's the big question.
I mean,
I guess his big pitch is, we have all these retirees that, they've owned their house for 30 years. He's like, we're taxing them on their house.
Good. That's one of those.
I guess they get a lot of money from. Apparently, wherever you go down to Disney, there's like an extra tax on your thing for being an out-of-state resident.
Right. They have a lot of tourism taxes. Yes. Yeah. And they have a significant. They're not as high as Tennessee, but they have a fairly significant sales tax.
They mentioned like a handful of counties that some of them were as high as 40% of that rely upon property taxes to help fund what the city does.
Right. Here's the problem, and I think we talked about this before too. The problem with property tax alleviation, especially when you're doing it for the elderly. One, it's politics. It's pure politics.
Well, apparently, they already have a stop rate or whatever for, I guess,
Right. We have that here too.
Yeah.
In certain conditions, if you're old and own a house, we have a property tax freeze where they won't raise it, where it can't raise or whatever, and it can max out at a certain number and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which at some level, it's I don't know. It's I hate property tax. I hate property tax. I hate property tax. I think it's evil at its core. Because all property tax does is prove my point that we don't own anything. We are just renting it from the state. And I have a problem, I have a moral issue with that premise. However,
but somebody put it, it's pretty much, it's the most equitable tax, basically.
Sure. Because if you have a nice house that's worth a lot of money, you pay a lot more in taxes. If you have a crappy house, or if you're a renter, you pay less of you don't pay the tax directly. It's included in your rent usually.
Right.
For a small little whatever here and there. And it is a more equitable tax. And so I can give it that it's due. However, the problem with property tax relief, especially for the older people, is that is literally buying votes or responding to who bothers voting, because who bothers voting, 55 plus everywhere in the country. That's right. How it goes. You want to win elections? Do shit that the old people like. And so, for those of us, who actually care about our kids and want to see our kids have a reasonable future, I've seen some real deep dives into people that are baby boomers have fucked everybody. They've fucked this country up. Not because they are our leaders and they are our politicians now, but because their voting bloc is so fucking big and so strong that our leadership has bent to them, and that they're the most selfish generation in the history of time. That is essentially the thesis of this book that this guy was talking about on a podcast. And it's it's like we were raised on this. I remember, like, I feel like it's a pretty known that, like, the most standard thing of humanity is that my children's generations will have a little better than mine did. My parents worked hard to make
idea, yeah.
Right. My parents worked hard so that I would have a little bit better life than they did. Their parents worked hard, and like that's part of the American dream. That's part of the bootstraps argument system. Blah 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 blah. And it's like the boomers just like, fuck it. We're selfish. We don't want to pay taxes on stuff. We want to retire earlier. We want, like, because like you get into a lot of the stock market shit that we bitch about, like the idea that it's illegal, like that it's not illegal. Excuse me, but it is lawsuitable. It is suable. For a CEO to do something that may negatively affect their stock prices, like those, like all these little parts and pieces. Because what the majority of wealth for, not for me and you, but for the generation above us, our parents and up, the majority of their wealth is either in their home, which is why we get into these big fights about property values all the time. Because people want to see their home values goes up. The majority of homeowners are baby boomers. And then their second biggest portion of wealth is in their 401ks or their stock portfolios. Yeah. And so the laws over time have adjusted to protect them and their wealth, which is over time has made it harder and harder and more complicated and less likely for the generations below them to be able to get on in those games. It's arguably why it's so hard for people to buy homes, for first-time home buyers to go buy homes. It's so hard for them because the insistence by the government at large, both local and national, to protect home values makes it too expensive for people to buy houses if you don't already own a house. For people to try to get functional in the stock market, to have enough disposable income to be able to invest it into a 401k or into the stock market as a day trader or whatever, is not something that the younger generations have options for.
Yeah.
The system's not built around that. It's built around protecting those that already have the wealth and have the stock market and have the home. And so at some point, because like and then that same set of people is, which I'm, again, another one that I have moral issues with, is the estate taxes. While at least in Tennessee, the estate tax has got to be over like $3 million in total estate to reach the threshold. But if you do reach the threshold, it's a big tax,
right?
Which I do, like, I'm on a moral level, I do have a little bit of issue. I was like, look, I spent my entire life growing all this wealth and money and stuff like that. I should be able to give that to my kids, right? I made it. You shouldn't. I made it, and you taxed me when I made it.
Right.
Why would you, if I give it to my kids, why would you tax my kids? It's already been taxed. Like, I get that argument.
I think it's been abused. You have, I guess, what they call pass-through income.
Right. And then you have a lot of that crazy shit with the marginal gains. Like, so that if you inherit stock or something like that, like if I have a big fat $1 million portfolio and I give it to my kid,
right? You don't pay taxes on it until you sell it, right?
Right, but they only pay capital gains tax on what it gained from when they took it. So if I bought Apple in 1982 or whatever it was,
okay,
if I bought one share in 82 for $50 and it's split like 10 times, so my one share is now 100 shares and they're all worth like $2,000 a piece. Well, if I don't sell it before I die, which is also one of the problems in the tax math here, is because if I don't sell it before I die, or if I sell it before I die, I'm going to tax that capital gains. If I die and you take it, well, if you sell it immediately, there's no capital gains because it didn't change in value since you took possession of it.
Right.
But all the value it grew from the time I bought it to the day I died would have been taxable if I sold it before I died. But since it went to you in my inheritance, since apparently you're my son in this analogy, but since it went to my kid, they only have to pay taxes on what it grew since they took it. So it could be $10 million I hand to my kid in stock upon my death. He sells it and pays zero capital gains tax, or maybe a couple bucks because between the day I die and the day the fucking estate gets settled and all that kind of shit, maybe a couple weeks that it might have gained a few $1,000s in value.
Just get money back if it goes down.
Right. And so, but again, that's another. But I do think that's another issue too. Like the idea of a wealth tax is a problem too. Like the idea that you're going to charge me, like if I own $1 million in stock and you're going to charge me a 1% wealth tax, it's like, okay, it's only $100,000. How do I pay that $100,000? I got to sell it, and then you're going to tax me for capital gains for selling it to pay the $100,000 that you are taxing me in wealth tax. Wealth tax is weird to me too. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on this weird tax tangent. But yeah, anyway, the boomers, it's all the boomers' fault. I hope you quit listening already, Mom. I know you tried to listen to an episode on the airplane. I'm pretty sure you got disgusted and probably quit. I haven't talked to her about it. I need to ask her if she actually tried to listen.
Check it out.
But I mean, I think it's like the first time I heard about it, I was like, that's crazy. And then the more I've heard about it, the more I've thought about it, the more it's true. Like there's a lot of this stuff that's true. It's inherent, like it comes off, and I think it gets argued away and dismissed under some of the like anti-racist rhetoric and stuff that's going on right now, and that it's a race thing and it's this thing. Well, yes, theoretically, because people that are old and have money are usually white, because it was racist when they started playing the game. Whether it's still racist now, I don't know. That's not really relevant, but we got to figure something out. Like this isn't working, and protecting, trying to remove a property tax to protect the elderly from losing their home. It's like, maybe they need to lose their home. Maybe that house needs to go back on the market. Maybe that's a good thing for society at large, that house gets back on the market because, I don't know, you're 85 and you're living in a 3,000 square foot mini mansion in Florida. Maybe that should go to somebody that has, I don't know, a spouse and maybe a kid or two, instead of you by yourself because your spouse died a few years ago in a giant house. Maybe you should downsize into something smaller.
Yeah.
And get that house back on the market for others.
I think I saw a clip of Ben Shapiro was making that argument, I guess pushing back against, the youth saying they can't afford anything. It's like, well, maybe you need to move somewhere else. If you can't afford to live there, go somewhere else.
I'm open to that conversation, even though I like to bitch about Eric and the 1-800-U-Haul thing. But I don't know where is somewhere else. Like, right. We're in Knoxville, for fuck's sake. We're one of the cheapest places in the country.
Exactly.
And if I do, this isn't a brag.
Like go rural where it's cheaper. Like, well, there's no jobs there.
Right. And it's not a brag, but I do okay. I don't do great. I would say I'm probably mathematically in the top 20% in Knox County in income, which isn't that much really, because once you get over $100,000 a year in household income, you're in the top 25% in Knox County. But like if I didn't get super lucky, and I try to remember this often on how lucky I have been in a lot of things, but if the timing of when we bought this house is the only reason I own a home. If we didn't buy this house when we bought this house, I couldn't afford this house right now.
All right.
And like I said, I make good money, and I couldn't afford this house right now. I can only afford this house right now because I'm locked into a low interest mortgage, and the ticket price on this house was reasonable to reality, which it ain't no more. I haven't looked at it in a while.
I can't remember if it was a national stat or a state stat. I want to say it might have been a state stat, but it was basically like 1 in 4 people were living paycheck to paycheck.
That's it. I figured it'd be more than that.
Yeah. I guess it could be worse.
Right now, according to Zillow, where's that? Oh, that's these condos behind me. That's always crazy to me. Right now, Zillow says this house is $425,000.
Damn.
I paid like $135 for it, and I'm never going to pay it off because I keep. I can't refinance right now, even if I wanted to. I mean, there's a house across the street. They've been doing some work on it. We think the guy died, or he maybe went to a nursing home or something like that. They've been doing some upgrades on it. It's a pretty beat up house. Dude was a smoker. They got that place. I think they've gutted the inside. Like new drywall, new paint, new carpets,
right.
And they're doing the siding and stuff right now on the outside. They put a new roof on a couple weeks ago. They put a significant amount of work in here. Right now, Zillow's saying it's $209. I'm gonna guess when it goes onto market, if this is a flip, which I'm pretty sure it is, it's going to be in the $300,000 range, and it is a 1,250 square foot rancher. It's a single level home.
3-bed, 2-bath?
3-bed, 1.5 bath. I'm going to guess it's going to be the mid-3s when they put it back on market after the fixes they've done. And it'll sell in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like we were pipe dream talking about it when we could tell there was something going on. We couldn't tell exactly what was going on. We hadn't seen the guy in a long time and stuff like that. And we weren't sure, like, because it never went for sale. And so it seems like it's the family or whoever got the house in the estate or whatever. Again, assuming he's dead. I don't know if he's dead or not. But it seems that it doesn't. I don't think it's sold. At least it didn't publicly sell. It was sold. If it was sold, it was a private sale. It was never listed. It was never had a for sale sign out in the front yard. But we kind of joked about it when we could tell there was something going on, and our guess was that he was either passed or had gone to the nursing home. Like, man, I hope they put that on the market as is and maybe take a swing at that. Because we knew it was pretty beat up and it needed some work and stuff like that. It's like,
what are the chances it was like a bank repo?
Could have been. Very well could have been. The bank took it. The bank could have taken it back. But I think they had to post that though. I thought that was a posted foreclosure posting. Because it didn't seem like, well, at least it didn't seem like he was forced out in like the legal sense. Like it didn't seem like, people showed up and took him out of the house because he didn't want to leave his. I don't know. I've never watched a house get foreclosed on before.
Yeah,
but
I think that's one thing I've seen that's gone up a whole bunch of foreclosures.
Yeah. There's the foreclosure that was one nationally. It's up a significant number, and it's only going to get worse.
I guess, and people also behind on like utility bills.
Yeah, I actually know my neighbors behind on theirs because for some reason they keep putting it in my mailbox with my address on it, but their name. And I opened the last one on accident and then called and yelled at KUB about it because I know why. I understand where the mess up is because we have that light pole out there, and there's a light on it, and it's a private light. So again, if you're ever wondering, if you're looking around, stupid things that I know, if you're ever walking down the street or something like that, and you see a telephone pole and you see a light on it, if the light is out over the street or facing the street, then it is a municipal light, meaning the city of Knoxville or Knox County is the one paying for that light to be on. But if it's facing away from the street, generally the owner of the property that the pole is on is paying for that light to be there.
Right.
So technically the pole in our front yard is right on the property line. It's real close to the property line, and that's technically in my yard. But my neighbor wanted that light to be turned on, and so they got it added to their bill. But the address of the post is my address, not theirs. Mm-hmm. And so when they took over, when they turned that on and added that to their bill, the address got changed in their system to the address that the pole's at, which is my address. And so I've been getting their KUB bills.
Like, fix this.
And I opened it on accident, and I actually felt guilty for opening it because it was a final notice version of their KUB bill.
Yeah.
And then I felt guilty about opening it, so I didn't take it to them. I just called KUB and yelled at them and be like, hey, this is the second or third time that you guys have sent their bill to my house. I see why, because of the light post thing. But it's also, I don't know if they didn't pay you because they couldn't pay you, or they didn't pay you because they didn't get the bill.
Right.
And so my hope in that was that they would give them a little bit more. They would give them a new final notice, understanding that they hadn't gotten their previous bills, and that's why.
Doubt it.
Probably not.
We got record that we mailed it off.
All right. Well, I told you about the time when I got when my whole sewage mess,
right,
and that they'd forgotten to add my wastewater to my bill,
and they just retroactively did it.
And
6 months later, they're like, "Oh,
no,
we forgot to bill you."
It was like 18 months later when they called me, and they're like, "Well, we can only legally go back a year, but we're gonna add this to your bill. We're gonna add this much to your bill for the next however many months to get you caught up on it." It's like, so I got to pay for your guys' mistake? Well, you use the service. I don't want to. The state made me. Get the state to pay this. What are we talking about?
Right.
It's bullshit. So, anyway, yeah. So that's a crazy, yeah, like all over the place. Like the percentage of credit card debt is up across the board.
Oh yeah.
We're going into Christmas now, and like fucking, I mean,
Well, there was some kind of Today Show I saw where they had one of their it's like experts where they have come on for a little show, and it was like tips for the holiday spending season.
Yeah.
And she basically said, like, don't give gifts to anybody, over like 18. It's like just buy Christmas gifts for your kids and nieces and nephews, but you don't have to buy presents for everybody. Which, I mean, in theory, is not the worst, but it's just kind of funny.
But it's like if you're,
it's like the economy's not that bad. Like, just don't buy Christmas presents for anybody. I mean, it's young kids,
right? It's a youth. It's a you personal issue. If you're the type of person, like, it's a problem. It's a problem for somebody who likes to buy gifts for people.
Right?
I like to buy gifts for people, and I gave them a Christmas gift last year. I kind of plan on giving them one this year. It's like, but I can't afford it this year. It's like, okay, I don't know, whatever. It's fucking. I mean, the whole economics of the season is its own problem.
True.
Morally, like, I think it's kind of ridiculous how.
I mean, Black Friday is like we're doing our Black Friday sale. No, November 12th. It's like, wait, what?
I mean, I've seen ads for Black Friday that started like the early Black Friday sale starting the 1st of November.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And it's just like, but I mean, I get it, like, and especially, and it just seems to get worse because of the debt situation with everybody. Depending on how good you are, on how strict you are to your own budget, there's still a finite amount that you can spend in a year.
Right.
And so the whole point of it keeping sliding earlier and earlier and earlier is, if you say you're going to spend $500 on Christmas this year, we're only going to get that if we get it before you spend the $500.
Exactly.
So whatever deal we're like, if I'm going to do the big deal on Black Friday proper, well, then I'm fighting with everybody else that's doing Black Friday sales for my chunk of your $500. If I start mine a week earlier, I'm guaranteed to get my chunk out of your $500. Mm-hmm. Where somebody else is not going to get the sale because you've already hit your budget.
Right.
Which, I agree, it sucks. Like, I love Thanksgiving. I hate that we just kind of skip it as a holiday. But it's also like, it's so weird to me because, like, it's maddening how much people spend on Halloween.
Sure.
Like, it's weird to me. Like, it's a lot of weird stuff to me. Like, I'm kind of going down a not a conspiracy rabbit hole, but a little tinfoil hatty stuff. Like, I really kind of want to get my kids, like, well trained with guns. Like, I want them to understand how they work.
There were a number of states that passed a law that they're now going to teach gun safety in schools.
I hadn't heard about that. But I mean, like, they're already good on gun safety. Like, I do it all the time, and it freaks my youngest out. The older one doesn't care, but my youngest, I'll just walk in and I'll hand him my pistol. Like, they'll be playing video games or whatever. I'll just walk in and I'll hand them my pistol, and they'll take it out of my hand and they'll make sure it's clear and be like, "What's up?" No, it's just tested. Like, they know, like, it's like they know that if there's a situation and there's a gun in the room, that they pick it up, they clear that gun. They don't let it sit there. They don't let other people fuck with it until they know it's empty.
Right.
That's the thing that they know. But, the proper use and, proper firing and cleaning and fixing and, all that kind of stuff I haven't gotten to. And I feel like I need to, because, like,
you emphasize muzzle safety.
Yeah, that's another one. Like, the younger one. And this might be why he's even more timid about it, because he did it once. Or I handed it to him once, and he started up, and I grabbed the gun and I yanked it down. Like, I was forceful with it to make the point.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh," and I was like, "Buddy,
treat every weapon as it's loaded.
If it's pointed at something, it's going to kill it. And you were starting to point it at me, and I don't want to die today." But I was listening to Breaking Points yesterday, and they're talking about all this economic stuff and how, like, disparate everything's getting, and how, debt's on the rise and all this stuff. And then one of their ads, which, they have a system with it's a third-party company that just gives them X number of dollars, and they have no contact with the advertisers. It's a whole thing that they set up. Well, it's a common thing in the industry now, but when they started doing ads, they were very blatant about, we're not going to directly deal with advertisers, because we don't even want to pretend to accidentally do anything that's going to change the way we do our coverage, because Company X is giving us a bunch of money.
See, I would think you would still want to be I guess, cognizant of what kind of ads are playing on your program, what's being essentially associated with your business.
Well, they're truly not, because the ads that like the one of my favorites, and it's been regular on and off, is other news companies advertise on there a lot. NBC News has been doing an ad series with them currently. But again, I don't know how the third-party company of this works either. I don't know if they get to say, I want to be on that show. Or it's a, hey, you know, we're pod ads company Y. You get a 1-minute ad and you pay us X, and we'll distribute it onto.
We'll give you a spot on the top 20 podcasts or whatever.
We'll put you on our different podcast, but we'll guarantee you it's podcast your ad will get this many hears because it's going to be on podcasts that we know get this much listening. Whatever. I don't know. Again, I don't know how that works, but it's that, and there's a Delta One ad that's on there right now that's about their like super luxe package that you can get into, where it's like apparently they have in a number of major airports, they have these special lounges for members that have showers and stuff. So you can, like, while you're in your layover, you can go take a shower, and they're super first class, 180 degree flat, reclining seats and all this kind of like, and I'm sitting here listening to that as they came out of a whole segment on how broke people are. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and it's actually coming off of, there was an episode they had last week where they were talking about, it's like, this is how the real revolutions start. It's not that the poor people start them. It's never the poor people start them. They fight them. Don't get me wrong. But it's always when the more affluent has nowhere to go. So like all these kids coming out of college with, you know, law degrees that can't get a job in a law office because they've automated that out. You know, it's the lower end of the intelligentsia, I guess is what you would call it. Like smart, educated people who played by the rules, who did the things that they were supposed to do, and they were raised that this is how you get ahead in life and still lose. Those are the ones that start the wars.
Right.
It's not the, you know, the poor plebs out there that are, you know, sharecropping or whatever version of indentured servitude that is the economy du jour. They get swept up and brought into by, but it's always it's going to be my kids and their friends who go to college and are finishing up college and are looking out and going, I got nothing.
Right. Yeah, it was like, I think
I got nothing
mentioned it before. It was like 10 or 15 years ago. I think there was a big class action lawsuits of people coming out of law school because they got into law school because they were told by recruiters and whatnot that, like, oh, here's the projected, you know, there's going to be so many jobs and this demand for, you know, paralegals and, you know, people getting into law offices. And they came out and they're like, you guys lied to us. Like there is no job market for people with a law degree right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's how, I don't know. And again, this goes back to the earlier conversation. Like, I don't know how to fix any of that. I don't know how to make that more relevant or useful to anybody other than to say, like, let's read our history books, people. And
yeah, I'm not really sure how the job market's going to shift because I've heard that explanation as well. It's like, well, AI will take these jobs, but it'll also open up, you know, you'll have obviously more IT. It's not going to be one-to-one, but you'll still have that need for people working in IT and people working at the data center and whatnot.
I mean, we need to figure out how to make the matrix real and that our body heat is the energy source for the computers, and then they'll take care of us.
I did see something on it recently that, like, high-level physicists or whatever have proven that the simulation theory is not valid.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people still believed in it because there were some physicists that were like, you know, I don't know, mathematically there's still a possibility.
I mean, I think that's always my take on it. Is mathematically it makes total sense that, because I think there's a singularity to the idea eventually. Like especially now that we have the beginnings of what AI can do. Like, I mean, I think if with a little bit of energy and effort, you could live your entire life in AI. Like I could
No,
put
but it's pushing back on the idea that we are literally
currently in it,
supposedly living in it.
One of the arguments is that if we're ever going to get into it, why couldn't we be in it now? Like if because to me the question with the simulation theory is always to the why. It's not the is it possible? It's absolutely possible, and it's certainly to me it's absolutely possible now because the relevance of time is. It would be, like the way the Matrix did it, being like, well, okay, well, for whatever reason it started, but we pushed it, at least in the simulation of Neo and everybody out there, it was the 90s. Why couldn't, if going down the rabbit hole, I'm not saying I believe it or not, but going down the rabbit hole, it could be 2300 right now. But the simulation put me in 2025, and then everything around me is fake. It's all part of the simulation they built for me because they need me to survive and then whatever. Yeah. There's no reason they couldn't have done that. Like if we can agree that the technology will exist eventually, then why couldn't it be retroactively functioning? It's not going back in time. It's just telling me in my simulation that this is what year it is.
Right.
There's no reason that couldn't exist. But the problem, but again, the problem to me always is the why. Like for what? Like again, it's the logic game, I suppose, because that's what got. I mean, that like the laws of robotics or whatever kind of thing that we talked about earlier. Is this some simplified? Is this just some simplification of the logic that we put into our AI systems that they simplified into building us a simulation to exist in? Because that's the way they know how to keep us alive. Because that's their number one priority. Because other than that, why? Like if it's some person or cabal of people that have built up this elaborate thing to keep the masses in check, I don't know. They're not doing a very good job of it, at least if that's their point. Like the Luigi killing the dude in New York or whatever. Like, I guess if it's a simulation, then Luigi never actually existed, nor did the avatar that was the guy that he killed. But I don't know, like it doesn't seem to make any sense to me. Like why would you do it? Like what purpose would you have to put everybody in this thing?
I think that's what makes it all the less likely.
I mean, I agree. That's why I agree that I don't think we're in the simulation. Yeah. It's because I cannot fathom the why. Not the capability, I believe, yes, 100%. If it's not already here, it will be here eventually. But I think we're going to option into it for the most part when it comes. We're going to ask for it.
I think it'll be more on the and kind of what we have now, where you have VR and you can have your digital significant other,
right?
And just kind of like live in that life.
Upload is a great show on Amazon. If anybody hasn't watched it yet, it's a fun show. They season 4 just started running. It's pretty fun. Kind of makes fun of it, but also kind of deals with some of the weird stuff that's in it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I am chiefly concerned about the future for my kids. Like, I just don't know what to. I don't know what to expect for them. I don't know how to help coach them into dealing with it and being functional in it. And I'm truly to the point of. I remember, I don't know, some episodes we've had different talks about like the whole Israel conflict. I'm scared to death that we're going to end up in some larger Middle Eastern war, and then it's going to have some draft shit, and my kids are going to be dumb enough to take up to heed the call to help protect our freedoms or whatever bullshit. Right. I'm scared to death. That's still on my bucket list of things that are.
Tell them to join ICE. You get like a $50,000 sign-on. Right. I keep seeing ads for that.
Yeah, but like all these
desperate are you guys?
All these different, like, I mean, yeah, but like all these different little things. Like I'm scared to death for my kids. Like I'm old enough that I can whatever. I've had enough of a run that I'll be okay. I might not be okay. I might end up dying young or something stupid or whatever. But it's like I've passed the point of like being really worried about it. I did my job as for the human species at least as I procreated, and now I got to figure out how to make sure my procreations can procreate in their own time,
right? And
maybe have some happiness in that process would be kind of cool, I guess. Not just this. That's all I see. I'm scared to death, and I guess my new little add-on is I'm scared of the new revolution that's going to come at some point. because I feel like that's inevitable, because there's no sense to me that there's any real effort to do anything net positive for humanity around this issue, and that the wealth gap and all this other stuff is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, and all these kids are going to be going and trying to do their best to be decent human beings, and the world just keeps shitting on them, and they get pissed off about it, as they should. And we have some, French Revolution, the guillotine comes back out.
There was something crazy like the last time France used that?
Like a week ago?
No. It was like...
just the way you brought it up, I assumed it was fairly recent.
No. Well, I mean, in perspective, I want to say it was like the late 70s. Apparently it was like the same year that like one of the I think it might have been like the first Star Wars came out.
I mean, it does, like, in the grand scheme of things, apparently there's a guy here in Tennessee that's due for his execution here pretty soon. And apparently part of the process is Tennessee has a couple of options.
Right. You can choose that.
And you're allowed to pick which option. And either in a stall tactic or he actually really cares, he'd ask for some details on what the drug is that they use for lethal injection. And the state is refusing to give any details on it, which is interesting. Like,
I've seen a couple of lawsuits.
Yeah. And so because
there's been adverse, side effects or whatever.
Right. And it's
like people viewing it, did see it as, basically breaking the Constitution of it being cruel and unusual punishment.
I feel like the guillotine's pretty good. Like, if it's a well working version of the machine, it's about as uncruel as it gets.
I think one of the Western states, they had someone that it's been a while since they did a firing squad.
I mean, I said firing squad's a rough one. But I think the guillotine or the axe. I was watching a thing on Henry VIII and all his wives, and Anne Boleyn, gave the guy a couple extra shillings on her way up to the block, so he switched out to a better axe that's sharper. Like, that was apparently a standard thing. I'm about to die. Here's a couple bucks. Make it easy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Make sure it's clean.
Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, I feel like the guillotine's a pretty good one. Maybe we should bring that back. It's for the spectator. Like, it depends on what kind of spectator you are. Like, if you have some sort of intestinal lack of intestinal fortitude, it's probably one of the more gruesome ones to watch. But as far as getting the job done quickly and effectively, I'd say it's pretty well up there on the list.
I think it's crazy. You go back in time and that was like a public viewing.
Oh yeah,
even here, people would go to see public hangings.
Yeah.
Which apparently that's supposed to be, like, when done right, that's supposed to be super immediate. Like, there's like a equation to figure out, like, what snaps your neck. You're not like you see it on TV where people are just, like, hanging, like, choking out.
Right. The short fall, or the long fall and the quick stop version.
Right.
Because that's been different. There's been different, through history, there's been different versions of it. Like, where the old school, like, you tie the rope around their neck and you hoist them up in a tree, that's the slow strangulation version.
Right.
Where the one where you kick the box out from underneath them and they fall 5 feet.
Yeah, I could imagine going to like a public viewing of like somebody getting like drawn and quartered.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's like, why are they talking about horses? Like, oh God!
I mean, I don't know. I've said like it doesn't bother me when I know it's fake. So I'll watch them on TV. Like, I mean, we're watching some docudrama, just historical drama about it's William the Conqueror, played by one of the Lannister, the dude from Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. So very much the same character, except so far at least we haven't caught him fucking his sister. But for the Game of Thrones fans out there that get that reference, and it's like, when you didn't have any sort of entertainment. I don't know. We are perfectly fine with gruesome entertainment. Me and you, we watch movies and stuff all the time that have some gruesome shit in it.
Right. And
we can sleep at night knowing that it's not real. But if you had no entertainment and that's all you got, I could see it being a pretty good time. I mean, I watch NASCAR for the wrecks. I'm not hoping anybody dies, but man, it's fun to watch that shit go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why American football is as popular as it is, because it is a violent sport. We enjoy as a species seeing violence. We do. I mean, what's the most popular video game on the planet right now?
Minecraft? No.
Actually, maybe. There's some murder in that one, but it's super low tech. But there's a new version. It's a new version of like Delta Force something. It's some first person shooter that's realistic army special forces kind of setup game. It's just came out and it's like super big and super popular right now. Like, and they have been like some version of that. I mean, the one that changed the world was GoldenEye. I remember GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And that's the first person shooter where you
Doom was kind of
right. Doom. There's a lot of that, and that's part of us as a species. We get to enjoy it in a simulated format instead of it being real.
I go back to was it Galaga?
Yeah, but I mean, they've got some on the Oculus here that the graphics aren't perfect, but like you're choking people out and stabbing people and doing all sorts of stuff.
Right.
And I just can't figure out. I can't control it. Like I can't handle the controllers. Like my big dumb hands don't play video games right.
I think it'd take me a while until I wouldn't get like sick just from like the.
Yeah, it gets a little wonky on that, but like the thing with the Oculus that's weird is like, so you have these two little controllers, one in each hand, and they have the little joysticks on them. Where like in regular video games that you have the joysticks, the single controller, but you have joysticks for both thumbs. Mm-hmm. It's one is your lower half, one is your top half, right? So one is which way your legs are moving, and one is which way your head is facing.
Right, yeah, that's how a lot of video games are.
Right, and so
one's your movement, one's your perspective.
Right, on the Oculus, it's the same thing, except you actually get to move your head, but you don't get to move your legs. Like you have to move your legs with the joystick. So I can't control those things. Like I can walk at an angle and turn my head the other way and do that fine. In reality, all I want, I'm fine with that. Like, and I can rationalize the understanding of how they're simulating that into the thumb controls. I just cannot do it. Like I tried to play Fortnite because they were super into Fortnite, and so I was trying to play Fortnite so I could play with them. So I can't control it.
Yeah,
I cannot figure out which thing to move, which direction at which time, and I'm sure like if you were sitting and watching me trying to move in the game,
again.
Huh? Yeah, right. I'm sure if you were in the game looking at me trying to play the game, I would just be like, it would be the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. Of like just the head going in all sorts of weird directions and the feet running around and being stupid. Yeah, it's bad. But I don't know. It's a pretty light news week anyway, so I'm not too mad that we wandered aimlessly.
I did see one story that the National Guard base, I guess, got approved for some new super tanker. It'd be in the base for it.
That'll be fun. I get to watch them fly overhead and set my clock to on the. Figure out a new flyover to set my watch to every day. Like we have Blackhawks that fly over twice a day in pairs. And we have, I actually haven't seen the tankers as much recently. They haven't been doing as many, or at least they've changed their routing for the refueling tankers practice flights.
That's something you would think that, I know they're fucking expensive, like the simulators, but I think that's something that could help, like, save the military some money.
I mean, I like, they can't be that expensive compared to how expensive it is to actually fly those things.
Right.
I mean, I want to say
a lot of those, I can't remember, it's the same thing with, like, commercial airplanes that, after so many hours, like, there's a shit ton of maintenance that has to be done on it. Because, like, the hull of it starts to, like, degrade just from the pressure.
Right. Every time it goes up, it has to do hours of maintenance when it gets back down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm trying to think. Brain. Yeah. I mean, I want to say like I read somewhere that like just like a G6, like a standard private jet, one of the smaller, normal, like more normal for people that can afford them or whatever.
Right.
That like it's $10,000. Every time you take it up in the air. Between the required maintenance when it's on the ground, the pilots, the co-pilots, I'm sure there's landing fees or takeoff fees. I don't remember, maybe both. Like you have to pay the airports a certain amount of money, and then the fuel fees and all that kind of stuff. That like if you just wanted to take you and a dozen of your buddies to Vegas or whatever. On a private jet, it's like no matter what, it starts at like $10,000. even if it's not that nice, or it's not even that it's the quality of the jet itself. It's just the cost to do those things is that expensive. And so I would imagine, the pilots and stuff on one of those refuelers are they're paid employees, so they're there all the time. They don't get paid more or less because they're flying today or not, I don't think. So that's sort of a fixed cost. But just in fuel cost, I'm sure any of the armed forces don't pay takeoff and landing fees too. Maybe they probably have some agreement that they're paying. Like I'm sure the Air National Guard is paying some amount of money to McGee Tyson for use of the runways. Because
they don't have their own runways.
I mean, it's in the. I think it's. I don't think so. I think they just use the
same one.
I think they all they're on the base, but I think they use the same set. And
they're burning up rubber every time they land.
Right. But I mean they're right, and they're damaging. They are damaging the runway just like any other plane does. Maybe a little bit more because they're so damn big. With the landing and takeoff procedures and stuff like that the repairs have to go, and so they've got that mathematically out. So I would assume they pay something. McGee Tyson gets some sort of income from the Air National Guard for the use of the base, or maybe it's actually the Air National Guard's runways and McGee Tyson is paying them. Might be the other way,
possibly.
But then
who was there first?
But somebody, right? Well, somebody's got to be paying for the maintenance and stuff like that, and whichever way the circle jerk that I'm going over here is going, somebody's taking care of that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, I would assume that a training mission or whatever costs a good sum of money every time they take one of those planes up. I was watching local news last night. Apparently, the number of Black Hawk helicopters that are part of, I can't remember. I guess it's some sort of Army something that runs out of here. It's all medevac stuff that's only allowed to be like, they can't use it. Like if we get in a wreck on the interstate, that's, the UT Medical's Lifestar or whatever. Yeah. That's that system. But if it's in the park, specifically the national park or whatever, this service does it. And apparently their number of rescues is like way, way up. Oh. But apparently it's I don't know. I hope it's something that is a net value to all, because it is helicopter pilots that are in training for war that get to use these not standard missions, just these real missions to go do a rescue of some hiker that fell and broke their ankle. And so the crews get to load in the helicopter and go out and do this rescue. That they may do a different version of that when they go over to Iran or whatever. Like it's they use it as like hybrid training. It's like it's real missions doing real things.
It's not too dissimilar from what you would do.
But it's functionally, this is stuff that they will do over there in wherever over there is in the occasion that over there is needed. And so it's like, that's cool. That's making good use of a military system that can have civilian uses, and it theoretically should help save the cost for the civilian uses and tax dollars and stuff, because we're doing this thing and it's coming out of this budget instead of that budget. But it's also very good training, real life training, because you got to deal with real people that are really hurt, who don't always act rationally. Like if it's there's no level of training with somebody acting like they got hurt versus somebody who's actually hurt.
Right.
And dealing with them in their panic state and all that kind of stuff that you got to do, and hanging out of the helicopter and zipping down the line and grabbing them up and tying them into whatever thing and hoisting them back up.
Let's say that's probably one reason why I don't think Lifestar has that capabilities.
The hoisty thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, because for them
they're meant to land somewhere.
Right, they land and they get yeah. At some level, it's the same premise, but they have to land where these military ones don't, and so it's kind of neat. I thought it was a cool little whatever. I don't think they're the ones that fly over here every day because according to the news, it's single crew, single helicopter goes out. We always see them in pairs when they fly over here. My eyesight's not super great, but I don't recall looking up and seeing a white box with a red cross on it.
It wasn't too long ago. There were people, I guess, around Island Home that were complaining about so many Black Hawks, because I guess they were flying in and out of Island Home doing training.
Yeah. I don't know.
I understand you guys got to train, but this is getting ridiculous. This is a little too much right now.
All day, every day, at night.
Right.
Well, and then we had the one that ran into a fucking commuter jet up in D.C.
Oh, that's right.
That was crazy. Which just seems like a bad idea. Like, what scenario in war would that make sense? That you have a Black Hawk dodging commercial airliners to get in and out of a airport?
Well, done. Apparently, it was at the wrong altitude for whatever reason.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, just for training's sake, it's like why would you need to train around that? Which apparently, or at least the rumor is, and I've never heard any proof for or against this. The rumor was that it was going to pick somebody up from the Capitol to bring them back to the airport to catch their flight.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. I thought it was still part of a training. Like, apparently, like, it was the same route, same training route they had been using. It wasn't like a different route. But,
right. But there was something about, like,
it goes along the river, et cetera.
Right. But apparently they also, it is not unoften, maybe it's not to the Capitol building, maybe it's to the Pentagon. It's not inoften that, like, some of the top brass will take a helicopter ride from the Pentagon to the airport.
Right. Do like a 2-for-1, but like it can be a training, and we're also taking transport.
Or just call it a training mission so they don't have to, what's his name on his trip to his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't make you do an extra trip? I'm just hitching a ride.
Right. But I scheduled the trip. I scheduled you a training mission that you didn't need to take just so you could pick me up. But whatever, it's a training mission. It's not me. It's not my personal. I'm not using military assets for my personal. Yes, I am. I don't know. Who knows? So I don't know. What else you got? I'm trying to think. I'm sure I missed something. Do.
I don't think I remember seeing anything else crazy locally. Or anything of much interest.
Yeah, it's been it's getting into that time of year where some things slow down, some things heat up. It's been a pretty slow week. It'll be a slow week next week too, I'm sure. I'll be all turkey hungover for next week's episode. I got to try to do all 3 episodes on Black Friday, which is fine because nobody seems to give a shit about Black Friday for their personal time.
It's gotten less and less. I did see something funny. Apparently, like one tradition we've exported to Great Britain was Black Friday. I was like, you guys do Black Friday? You guys don't even do Thanksgiving, but apparently they have like Black Friday sales where people go out and do the crazy shopping.
Just a good marker. The last Friday. I mean, it's always the last Friday in November.
Right.
It's the good marker for the official, like, let's go and...
It's almost December. Go out and spend some money.
Let's go get our Christmas on.
Let's get it on. Because I think they do like their Christmas Day kind of like big dinner is kind of like our Thanksgiving. Like it's more traditional to have like a big meal Christmas Day. Then they do like their crackers, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how the...
You know what I'm talking about? They call them crackers, but it's like a tube tied up on both ends.
And you pull it apart. Like our version of the wishbone. Or their version of our doing the wishbone.
Yeah.
Make-A-Wish thing. It's funny. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. Bivin said some stuff. We've got to wrap pretty soon anyway. Jesse's supposed to be here for his show, so we can cut it short if we need to. Sycamore Institutes. One Knox. Rhonda Lee. Juvenile Service Center. Energy. Department AI thing. Covered that. Smoky Mountain National Parks has now gotten funding back, and here are some things you can expect. Trans-Siberian Orchestra was in town this week.
Right, that's kind of early. But I guess we're not some of the premiere shows.
Yeah. There's some sort of green policy that the city is signed up for that's got some consternation going about. I don't really know much about it to talk about it other than Officials released the Regional Comprehensive Climate Action Plan last week that ambitious greenhouse gas emissions reduction goals for the 9-county Knoxville Metro Strategic Area. The plan targets emission reductions by 40% in 2035 and 75% by 2050. The study lays out 19 strategies across 6 sectors to meet those goals. I don't know. I don't know. Like, whatever we got to do to make more cheaper electricity is what I want. We just need to, like, this needs to, like, I think we've talked about it before. I think the number one if you want to really start economic growth for American citizens, is you make fucking utilities stupid cheap. And the only way to really do that is to make it super, super, super abundant. Because you can't go, like, you could backdoor it a little bit with subsidies where you could be like, well, we're going to make it, we're going to require KUB to cut their rates in half. Well, KUB can't afford to cut their rates in half. They need it.
Right.
And so you'll have to subsidize you have to pay KUB
to subsidize it. So instead of spending money on KUB directly in that format, spend money directly on TVA and KUB by getting more production of energy. And if that needs to be green energy, that's fine with me. I don't really care. That's when I was kind of disappointed. You know, the administration came in and was pushing back. There were, I think, a couple have prevailed in court, but there were a couple big, like, wind farm projects. I think one was off the coast of, like, Massachusetts or something. Like, there was one they were literally almost done with, and all of a sudden they were like,
right.
Nope, we're cutting that. You're like, wait, what the fuck? Like, we're like 2 months away from this being completed and bringing a shit ton of energy to this area that's in high need of energy.
Right. It's just, I don't know. Like, again, I don't care what method. Right. Let's just make more. Just make more.
That's what I'm going to talk about, you know, and kind of like pushing for more nuclear, but there's still, you know, whether you like them or not, there's still regulations that it's going to take 15, 20 years to get any kind of new plant online versus like a solar or wind farm can be over and done with in like 10 years or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, we need this power now. Even like what we could get going is still going to take years to complete.
Right. Yeah. It needs to be, you know, I'm over the energy reduction, like the idea of reducing energy usage by individuals as being the solution to the problem.
I think it's part of it.
I mean, I'm sorry, like there should, like,
I mean, Europe's had like low flow toilets for a while. I mean,
right.
Our water's pretty cheap around here, but it's still
right. And I have no issues with encouraging people if you're gonna bother put new windows on your house, put more energy efficient ones on there.
Right.
Okay. Throw a subsidy together or some sort of kickback for encouraging me to make a better decision because, you know, maybe I can't afford a better window because that's just where my budget's at. You know, I would assume that most people aren't wasteful with their energy usage, insofar as they do what they can to minimize what they're using, regardless. Like, I don't know how many houses I've driven by that are definitely on the lower end of the income spectrum, where it's like a sheet that they've got duct taped over their windows.
Right.
You know, whatever they can do to keep that heat loss at a minimum, people are doing. You know, like newer houses are just more efficient houses because we have new products and materials that newer houses are getting built out of.
Right.
That's easy if you can afford to buy a new fucking house, which nobody can.
I'd say overall, I mean, unless you constantly are seeing like really high power bills, I don't think many Americans really think too much about having, you know, a whole bunch of lights on.
I don't know. I do.
Right.
Like, I'm not crazy about it, but like I'll go do, like, before I go to bed, I do a lap around the house. And turn off anything that's left on. You know, I spent a couple extra bucks on the new windows, and we got new windows in our house to get the Argon R16 or whatever they are windows.
The gas that's inside.
Yeah. Like all of them are double pane with some inert gas in between to help with their efficiency, and they're all plastic and caulked in and all that kind of crap. You know, now that it's getting colder, all of the curtains will start getting closed and staying closed most of the time, which is a bummer because it makes it kind of sad because it's dark in the house all the time. But, You know, those curtains make a tangible difference in
I
how.
think it helps if you open up in the daytime. I remember doing that last year at our house.
Yeah.
Where it was sunny outside. I would, turn the blinds where we were getting sunlight coming into the house.
Yeah. And the biggest one for our house is the eldest room is always hot. It doesn't matter what is going on. His room is hot. But he also always keeps his door shut. And so one of our things when it gets cold outside is I try to keep his door open. I try to open his door as much as possible. Let that heat into the rest of the house.
Open your door. Keep heat in the house.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about you and your growing body and your computer and whatever you got going on in your room. It's always hot in here. It's like I had to go yell at him the other day because he had his window open. And like last week when it was like 25 degrees outside, he had his window open.
I remember one of the last times I came over, his window was open, the fan was on.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think it was mild outside.
Right. Well, that's the other one too. Is like he won't he's gotten better about it. Like when it's hot in his room and it's not too cold outside. Like if we don't have the heat running on the house, open your fucking window, man.
Yeah.
Just don't open your window while we have the heat on, because then we're doing both, and that's ridiculous.
I'm arguing with my old roommates in like the summertime. He kept opening up the window. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, well, you should do that in the old days. And I'm like, but it's really fucking humid.
Yeah.
And I was like, and we've got the air on. And it's like, 95 degrees outside.
Right. It's just we have the air on.
Right.
And the most expensive part of running any air conditioning.
Cools out. I'm like, no, it's not.
The most expensive part of any air conditioning is the transition from ambient to whatever temperature you're asking it to be.
Right.
Once you get there, it's not too hard for it to keep it there, or keep it fairly close.
Even then, I think I remember like learning there's like a 3 to 4 degree kind of like difference before it kicks itself on.
Yeah.
It doesn't go down a degree and all of a sudden kick itself back on like it'll actually.
Right.
And I think the same thing, if it's trying to cool it off, it'll go a little bit below it before it turns itself off.
Yeah, it is. But anyway. All right, let's get weird. Oh, that button.
Phone went to sleep. Got an Australian prisoner sues for his quote-unquote human right to eat Vegemite. He's challenging Australia's state ban on inmates eating Vegemite, claiming in a lawsuit that withholding the polarizing yeast-based spread breaches his human right to, quote, enjoy his culture as an Australian. He's serving a life sentence for murder.
That's rough.
Took his battle for the salty, sticky brown product of brewing beer to the Supreme Court of Victoria.
That's funny. That's gross. Vegemite is really gross. I don't understand what. Yeah, he told me that he reminded me this morning. I gotta.
Yeah, pulled up. We have like countdown. You have to do it like right out.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna be done in like 3. So, perfect.
I can steal your phone and do it for you if you want, but I can't do your ID.
Yeah, I got you. All right. Weird. One more time.
We have a gentleman who was pelted by eggs thrown by his uncle when the former head of Spain's soccer federation was presented a memoir late Thursday relating his downfall after kissing a player at the 2003 Women's World Cup. Seated on a stool on a low stage, when he jumped up and spun quickly, trying to avoid 3 eggs hurled his way. He said, quote, a man entered, who I later saw was my uncle, who is a troubled man and always has been. He had some eggs and threw some at me, but I didn't know what he had in his hands. And when I first saw him, I thought he might be carrying a weapon.
To what end? What was his purpose in throwing the eggs? Why was he?
I guess his uncle doesn't like him.
Being silly? Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like a rage issue.
Could have been mad about him getting busted for. You remember that story? For like the Women's World Cup, it was like the coach or somebody like that. It was like going down the line. It was like I think it was like during like the medal giving ceremony, and like kissed one of them on the lips.
Yeah,
and she sued him. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, man, that's not cool.
Yeah,
it's grody.
Like, well, I'm Spanish,
but that's part of our culture.
It's like, yeah, you do on the cheek, which is still you shouldn't do unwantedly.
Yeah. If they are repulsed by your advances, you say, "Oh, my bad," and step back. All right, nothing weirder than pervy old dudes. All right, buddy, thanks for coming over early and doing this on a regular time. Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almostagreement.com. Check out what's going on there. Go to your favorite podcast providers. We're on all of those. I will give a full report on hunting over the weekend on the next coming episode, and I will also give a full report on how much my guts hurt from how much I ate too much on Thanksgiving. We'll see how Sam did on his eating frenzy as well. Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week with another wonderful episode starring the one and only Sam, the man, and me. All right, bye, everybody.